More migrants gathered on both the sides of the US-Mexico border on Thursday. That is just hours before immigration restrictions known as the Title 42 expired. Despite the restrictions coming to an end, migrants find themselves packed in the immigrant shelters, while migrant detentions have surged to record highs ever since news of the legislation expiring surfaced. The US Customs and the Border Protection in recent days have been holding up 28,000 migrants at its facilities. This number is far higher than holding capacities of these facilities. The U.S. House of Representatives on Thursday approved a Republican legislation intended to stop immigrants and illegal drugs. It targets the nation's southwestern border with Mexico. The legislation, if passed in the Senate, will set tight limits on the asylum seekers and require them to apply for the U.S. protection outside the country. It also would resume the construction of a wall along the border and expand federal law enforcement efforts. The House voted 219 to 213 to pass the bill, with no Democrats in favor and one Republican opposed. The Democrats have already warned that the legislation will be blocked in the Senate. A debt limit meeting between U.S. President Joe Biden and top lawmakers that had been scheduled for today has been postponed. The meeting now will be held early next week. Sources also say that during the meeting, discussions will be held to limit the federal spending. It will be done as a part of the talks on raising the government's $31.4 trillion debt ceiling to avoid a default. The aides to Biden, Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, Democratic Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and top Senate Republican Mitch McConnell. Not only this, top House Democrat Hakeem Jeffries met on Wednesday and Thursday to discuss raising the debt ceiling in the country. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa on Thursday refused to accept his government's alleged failure on curbing the problem of crippling power cuts. The president said that the already announced interventions will reduce pressure on the grid. Africa's most industrialized economy is experiencing the worst electricity outages on record. Many households and businesses in the countries they're staying without power for more than 10 hours a day. Experts expect that the situation will only get worse, despite repeated pledges by Ramaphosa's government to increase the energy availability. Tunisia's interior minister has said that the attack this week on an ancient synagogue on the Mediterranean island was a premeditated act. Earlier this week, the National Guardsmen killed 5 people and injured dozens, allegedly targeting the synagogue in a premeditated act. France's anti-terrorism prosecutor's office has opened an investigation into the killing. French President Emmanuel Macron welcomed his counterpart from United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, in Paris on Thursday. The two leaders will discuss the preparations for the COP28 climate conference set to be held in Dubai in November end. They will also talk about the upcoming Paris summit for a new global financial pact. The summit will take place in the French capital in June. A commissioner from European Union has said that no significant cases of arms smuggling into Europe from Ukraine have been observed. The claim was made by the EU Commissioner for European Home Affairs on Thursday during a visit to Kiev. However, she acknowledged that some individual cases of small arms being taken out of Ukraine had been observed. Johansson said that these were mostly individuals attempting to take weapons out as trophies or for personal protection. This issue had been among the priority topics which she discussed during a meeting with the Ukrainian Interior Minister. Venezuela and Colombia agreed to strengthen the number of troops stationed along its shared border at the informal crossings. The decision was taken on Thursday during a meeting between the defense ministers of the two countries. The agreement aims to tackle down criminal groups which are often present there for drug peddling. The officials did not specify how many troops would be sent to the border nor when. Colombian Defense Minister highlighted his country's efforts to hit criminal groups' finances as a way of weakening them. Clashes were about to erupt in Spain's Barcelona between squatters and their opponents. On Thursday, timely interference by the police contained the conflict, which was triggered during a demonstration in a posh locality in the city. It aimed to highlight the issue of squatting at the center of the upcoming elections. China is continuing its diplomatic ties in Europe with its high-level visit to the Netherlands. Dutch King Willem-Alexander received Chinese Vice President Han Shang early on Thursday, while Prime Minister Ruto held political talks with the Vice President in the afternoon. The visit comes after rising tensions between China and the West as China continues to face questions regarding its relation with Russia. Meanwhile, the European Union has sought to reduce its dependence on China and wants Beijing to be more forceful in addressing the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Japanese experts have raised concerns about strengthening relations between US, Japan and South Korea. They warned that the alliance and the United States' constant interference in the Asian affairs will not bring peace in East Asia, but would rather escalate the tensions. The concerns come after Japan altered its national security policy and Prime Minister Fumio Kishida paid visits to both US and South Korea. Reports have claimed that the Sudanese army and the paramilitary RSF have signed an agreement of principles in Saudi Arabia's Jeddah. A local media outlet said that the two warring parties committed to provide all civilians a safe passage to escape from conflict areas and also protect civilian supplies. Israel and Gaza traded heavy fire on Thursday. This is the third day of the worst escalation of violence in months that has killed at least 30 people. The rockets were fired from the Gaza Strip that killed one person in the central Israeli city of Rehevot and injured at least two others. Three others sustained injuries elsewhere in Israel. Meanwhile, Egypt mediated for a truce between Israel and the Islamic Jihad group, while the European Union called for an immediate ceasefire. Pakistan Supreme Court on Thursday declared Imran Khan's arrest as unlawful. The top court's ruling came 2 days after he was dramatically detained from Islamabad High Court by the paramilitary forces in the country. The lawyer of the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf chief said that the top court reversed all the legal proceedings against him. He also said that the former Prime Minister of Pakistan is now in Supreme Court's custody. He's set to appear at the Islamabad High Court later today. Meanwhile, supporters of Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan poured into the streets of Peshawar on Thursday. Celebrations erupted across the country after the country's Supreme Court ruled out his detention by the paramilitary troops as unlawful. Khan supporters chanted "Long live Imran Khan" as they distributed sweets, hoping for calm after the violent unrest that ripped through the country in the past few days. The Australian Trade Minister, who is on a visit to China, met with the Australian business representatives based in the country. Australian Minister Don Farrell is scheduled to meet Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wintao. The meeting aims to find ways for removal of trade impediments and also stabilize the diplomatic relations between the two sides. During the meeting with the Australian business representatives, Farrell said that there have been positive signs in terms of trading relationship. Trade curbs were put on Australian wine, beef in 2020. China is Australia's largest trading partner. In Peru, a convicted killer imprisoned will be handed over to the United States of America and the authorities there. He will face extortion and fraud charges, which goes back to 2005, and presumed murder of a teenager as well. The extradition of Joran van der Sloot will mark the latest twist in 20 years of the mystery case of Natal Holloway. Sloot was arrested in 2005 in the Holloway disappearance case. Twitter CEO Elon Musk on Thursday said that he has found a new chief executive for the social media platform. However, he stopped short of announcing the name, but said that the new CEO will be joining in 6 weeks' time. Musk said that he will transition to becoming the executive chairperson and chief technological officer, where he will oversee product software. The move is likely to allay Tesla investors' concerns, who have been increasingly worried about the time that Musk is devoting to turning around Twitter. Citizens of a tiny mountain village in the eastern canton in Switzerland have been asked to evacuate by Friday on account of an impending landslide. A local official said that a landslide is expected to happen anytime in the next few days or even weeks. The official that if it happens in portions, it will be the most favorable outcome for the village. However, if the landslide happens in one chunk, it may prove disastrous. The Swiss authorities have cordoned off the area with yellow warning signs in 5 languages. An increase in erosion and higher temperatures due to climate change is putting Switzerland at an increased risk of natural hazards. Due to extreme heat conditions, Spain has decided to ban outdoor work. The decision was taken after a cabinet meeting to tackle the effects of climate change across the country. Spain's agriculture minister has said that the ban will be in place when the National Weather Agency issues an alert warning about severe risk of high temperatures. Outdoor work such as street cleaning, construction work and farming will be affected. Spain has recorded the driest start to the year with less than average rainfall during the first 4 months of 2023. A Peruvian zoo in Lima commemorated Mother's Day by inviting visitors to meet the zoo's youngest residents. The guests got the experience of adorableness overload by looking at Joey's baby monkeys and white-tailed deer.